Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, Daily Motion, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Sunday, March 15th, 2015, around 3:51 p.m. in Billerica, Massachusetts. A damp day, some rain drops out of the skies, about 41 degrees. We might get some snow flurries tonight. Could be a cold into an inch or two, depends if we'll get a squall. Some news to report. The Kentucky Wildcats men's basketball team won the SEC title. That means they're 34-0. They're only 6 more wins away from going a perfect season, 40-0. And it's a good possibility they'll do it, but who knows? And also, the Philadelphia Phillies beat the Boston Red Sox by the score of 11-4 today in spring training baseball. These games don't matter. And that's about it on the news. My next video subject of the day is about a very exclusive club. It's the 500 Gold Club in the National Hockey League. There are 42 players in National Hockey League history who have scored at least 500 or more goals. And most of these players who've scored 500 or more goals in the NHL are enshrined in the Hockey Hall of Fame. There's only 9 of them who aren't in the Hall of Fame at this moment. A couple are still active, and a couple have been eligible for a few years, but they haven't made it. One's not going to be eligible for 2017. And the first player to score 500 goals in the National Hockey League history was Maurice Rocket Richard for the Montreal Canadiens on October 19th, 1967. And the last player to score 500 goals was Jerome McGinley, who was then with the Calgary Flames, cracking that knock on January 7th, 2012. And most of the players who've scored 500 goals are some of the who's in hockey, like John Verbo, Gordie Howe, Bobby Hall, Frank Maravich, Stan Mikita, Philo Esposito, Marcel Dion, Johnny Busick, Wayne Gretzky, Mike Bossy, Brian Trottier, Dino Ciccarelli, Steve Yzerman, Mario Lemieux, Mark Messier, Yali Curry, Dale Halachek, Dave Andrechuk, Joe Sakic, Jolie Mullen, Jaromir Jagr, Luc Robitaille, Peter Bondra, Matt Sundin, Timo Solani, Mark Recchi, Ron Francis, Pat Verbeek, Brendan Shanahan, Joey Newendike. The list goes on and on. There's been 32 Canadians who've scored at least 500 goals. 5 of them were like U.S. players. They include Joey Mullen and Mike Modano and Jeremy Roenick and Keith Tkachuk and Brett Hull. Even though he was born in Canada, he has a U.S. citizenship. And there were 2 Finnish-born players, Yari Curry and Timo Solani. One Czech Republic player, Jaromir Jagr. There were 1 Swedish player, who is Matt Sundin, and 1 Slovakian, who is Peter Bondra. And there's been no defenseman who've scored 500 career goals. Closest one was Ray Bourque. He had over 400 career goals. If Bobby Orr did not have a knee injury that forced him to retire at age 30, he was on projections through several stats to be the first defenseman to score 500 or more goals. And there's also been no NHL goaltender who's ever reached 500 goals. And some of the amazing statistics for about 500 goal scorers. There's been four players who've got their 500 goals into an empty net. They were Wayne Gretzky, Mike Bossy, Yari Curry, and Keith Tkachuk. And Hockey Hall of Fame goaltender Patrick Roy he was in goal when 3 players scored 500 goals off him. Steve Eiserman and Joey Mullen and Brendan Shanahan. So that's an interesting fact. And most of the players who've scored 500 goals would go in the Hockey Hall of Fame within their first or second year of being eligible. There's been a few that had to wait a long time. And there's a few that still are eligible for the Hockey Hall of Fame, but they haven't gone in yet. Dave Andreychuk has over 600 career NHL goals, and he hasn't been eligible. He hasn't been elected yet. And also Pierre Turgeon, who scored 500 goals, and Pat Pavic, who scored 500 goals. I don't think Pat Pavic or like Pierre Turgeon will ever go in the Hockey Hall of Fame, even though they scored 500 or more goals. And Dave Andreychuk might go in the next few years or so. And I think if any NHL player scores 500 or more goals, they should be really considered to go in the Hockey Hall of Fame. That's automatic Hockey Hall of Fame and an automatic ticket to go into the Hockey Hall of Fame and stuff. And also, there's these players who've scored 500 goals must have a consistency of maybe scoring 20, 30, 40, and 50 goals on a consistent basis, which is pretty good. And probably the next members of the 500 Goal Club within the next maybe 2 to 3 years, currently players Marian Hossa, who plays for the Blackhawks, Alex Ovechkin, and Patrick Marleau. Ovechkin's the captain of the Capitals, and Patrick Marleau plays for the Sharks. And all three of these players are within 50 goals of attaining 500, and they'll probably get there within the next 2 or 3 years. Plus, there's a few players who are have about close to 400 goals, like Rick Nash of the New York Rangers. If he stays injury free, he could be closing in on 500 within the next 3-4 years. And some other players that could be having 500 goals before their career's over, you get Gelfie Mankin and Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's a real honor to score 500 career goals in the National Hockey League, and 42 players. That's an elite group, and it's going to be growing within the next few years. And that's about it on 500 goals in the NHL. And I'll be back later. Facebook friends, YouTube followers, Daily Motion, and Twitter for my third and final video blog of the night, which will be about Baseball Hall of Fame catcher Gary Carter, the kid. This starts off with Montreal Expos and Montreal Canadiens personality profiles for the week. And have a good day, everybody. See you later.